Topo Athletic is committed to lifelong health and better movement. Topo builds running shoes for those who get out there every day regardless of weather, speed, energy, or mood. Their distinctive fit and feel combines instinctive human movement with modern performance and lightweight comfort to help you keep going, keep trying, and keep moving. Discover the Topo difference and step into a run experience unlike any other.
Hey everybody, welcome to our Fireside Chat. I think we're at 72 at this point, which is bananas to me. But today we have a very special guest. His name is Michael Silva. He's from My Run Strong. Michael has been helping runners for the past 20 years in helping them to run faster, run longer, and most importantly, without pain, which we can all agree is very important. Know about one of his goals. One of Michael's goals is to help 1 million runners. And when you think about it, there are 50 million runners in the US. So, 1 million might seem like a lot, but at the same time, it's kind of small, right? So we're really excited to have Michael join us, perfect timing as he joins us right now. Is that a drum set in the background? Oh no, that's like a weight machine in the background.
I thought it was a drum set too for a minute there.
You know what's funny is that I am a drummer, but that's in the other part of the house.
Oh, so we got it anyways.
I could have been like twirling drumsticks.
That would have been perfect. How are you doing, Michael?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me. It's going to be fun.
It's been some time since you and I chatted, and you did write an article for us on the website. For anybody who needs, go to runtrimag.com, click articles, run. You'll see Michael's story there. And so we just wanted you to come on and talk to us a little bit, because I was really enamored with your story of how you're looking to help runners, and then honestly shocked at the idea of helping 1 million runners, right? Like that seems like a ton of people, but
right.
Based on the conversation, I think it's pretty evident that you have the ability and the the drive to help 1 million runners.
Or the craziness. I'm not sure which one it is. It's a number I threw out there. You got to aim big, see what happens.
That's awesome. But hey, we have a very special question before we get started, because it kind of determines who's going to handle the Q&A portion of the interview. Is that okay?
That's fine.
So pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
Woo! Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. I'll be taking over from here then.
Bye, Jason. Have a good day.
Are you in Connecticut, dude?
I'm in Rhode Island.
Oh, Rhode Island. Northeasterners don't eat pineapple on pizza.
I put grilled pineapple on everything. I friggin' love grilled pineapple. I just made a summer corn salad with black beans and grilled pineapple and jalapenos, and it was awesome.
Ooh, that's my favorite.
Right?
Pineapple on pizza by itself, or do you have to add another product to it?
Well, typically when you get it, it's the Hawaiian pizza and there's some sort of like ham or prosciutto or something.
Yeah.
So whatever comes with it.
See, but that's you. Now you prove my point. Like, nobody has ever said I really like just pineapple on pizza. It's always like I gotta have ham and I gotta have jalapenos.
Right. All right. So you're back on now. You're doing the Q&A. I agree with you now. I've made a lot of pizza. I've never put pineapple on my own pizza. If I'm out and I'm in the mood for it, I'll eat it and I love it. But so take that answer however you guys want. Do what you want with it.
This is why our Food Fight Friday is super popular, by the way, because people feel strongly about their food takes, but then you add a little component to it and it changes everything. It's hilarious.
Right. So food, politics, and orthotics are like hot
yeah, there's
controversial items.
I love it. Well, speaking of orthotics, let's get into who you are and what you're doing. And I'm going to read to you what Breathing Smiles 47 wrote, which is aim small, miss small. 1 million is perfect. So it goes to your let's help 1 million runners. So what is it exactly that you're looking to help runners do?
So I'm looking to help runners run. We all know probably the number one thing that keeps a runner from running is injury. Right. And I've spent almost 25 years as a physical therapist, rehabbing runners and trying to keep them healthy, doing that all within the confines of the insurance regulated medical system that we have, which can be tough to do, to work with runners and, try to get coverage to that. So I did that for many years, built a pretty successful practice. I sold that And now what I'm trying to do is help runners through more preventative self-care, wellness-focused, full whole health approach to the runner. We're talking mind, body, nutrition, mental health, everything that you can imagine that would help or hinder a runner. And I'm trying to do that through, I speak all over the country, from college age kids up to professionals and big conferences. So my million is not me actually one-on-one with a million people, because I don't know if I have enough years left in my lifetime to do that. But just through the public speaking and everything else, and through online, even here, however many runners or triathletes show up, we're going to add that to the list and see how close we can get.
We'll definitely make sure we get you a good number on
Okay.
that. We'll add.
You said we're going to get about 500,000 tonight.
Yeah, at least 500,000.
Awesome.
We're gonna have to move your number to 1.5 million then. We gotta keep stretching ourselves. So
Right.
when you're, so if you think about this, right? So running is physical, right? And so I'm imagining helping runners, and I'm putting that in air quotes for those of you listening on the podcast. But if you're at a conference, how are you helping them on the physical side of running? Are you using models, or are you showing them videos? Like, what does that process look like?
Yeah, depending on the venue.
Okay.
So a lot of times it's like a PowerPoint keynote presentation where I'm discussing different aspects of, I call foundational health. I think that was similar to the article I might have shared with you guys.
Yeah.
But I did write an article for a local medical journal on health, working on foundational health for endurance athletes, mainly runners, but all endurance athletes, could be the key to running success and longevity. And those involve things like getting proper sleep, hydration, proper tissue preparation for your running, proper dynamic warm-up, stretching, strengthening, smart training, appropriate rest and recovery. All those things go into it. So when I'm presenting in front of a group, it's either on one aspect or touching on all of those topics and giving, I hate using the word hacks or quick tips, but like little things that people might not know, and how to set yourself up for success to get a good night's sleep, or how to recover properly, or how to properly use a foam roller or a massage gun, things like that. So it could be me just standing up there talking and giving information. I'm actually going to be doing an event coming up in Boston where I'm going to be running 5 clinics in 2 days within a big conference. And we're actually going to get there and do mobility and strength and exercises geared specifically to runners. So we'll get them in there and actually doing the work with us.
That's pretty cool. Before I ask you the next question, for those of you who are just joining us, we're talking with from My Run Strong, and his goal is to help 1 million runners, which may seem like a lot, but out of 50 million runners in the U.S., it really isn't that much. If you have a question for Michael, you can type it into the little comment box down there, or use the little question mark at the bottom of the screen to ask him a question. And so the question I'm going to ask you next is, why should I listen to Michael Silva? And the reason why I phrase it that way is because if you're telling me about nutrition, hydration, sleep, all of these factors, couldn't I just Google this stuff and get information? Why is it that coming from you is going to be more important, impactful, helpful than if I do it that way?
It's a really good question. So if you want right now, if your laptop's in front of you, I want you to Google something like running injuries, right? And last time I Googled it, there was 305 million hits. So good luck weeding through all of that, right? And as you guys can see, I've got great hair. I've been doing this for a pretty long time. So I don't know how many thousands of runners already that I've helped, but nothing beats sound advice that from someone who's, made a bunch of mistakes on people in the past. I've hopefully not hurt any runners, but, through successes and not so successful interactions with these runners, I've figured out what works and what doesn't work. And my goal is to impart the successful stuff onto the people I work with. So I know certain things, advice I may have given 20 years ago when I was a young cowboy PT thinking I could cure everyone might not be the same advice I give now. So I think it's just through the sheer experience, and not many PTs have a focus where they've worked with runners probably as much as I have. So for the most part of my career, at least for the past 15 years, I would say 85 to 90% of my clientele have been runners of all different levels, from, freshmen in high school, age groupers, to Olympic professional athletes. So you learn a lot after, thousands of patients and many years of doing it. So I would hope to impart some of that knowledge and wisdom in the advice and the guidance that I'm giving.
And we actually have a question here from Breathing Miles 47 talking about like information. They're talking about the psoas muscle. There's a lot of contradictory info out there, and I've been struggling. And the reason I'm bringing that up is it's kind of a two-parter. I would like you to kind of answer that, but also the question came up to me when you talked about doing this for a long time. When we talked to our last guest on the show, or our second to last guest, we talked about fitness influencers and kind of the age of social media and how there's a lot of information out there in the air. And a lot of people are putting details out there without necessarily having the right credentials. So you've been in this industry for a while now, and you've probably seen that change happen. So I guess the two-parter is talking about the contradictory info of the psoas muscle, but also talking about all the contradictory info that's just out there, and how you navigate that as a professional who's been doing this for a long time.
All right. So first I'll say, just so you don't say it wrong again, the P is silent. It's not like the P in pineapple. It's a psoas muscle.
Psoas. That's good, because
Yes.
I used to say persuado all the time instead of pseudo.
Right.
That's a common mistake for me.
Yeah, no, that's what everyone does it. So I'll start there real quick. So the psoas muscle is an extremely important muscle with runners, an extremely important muscle with all humans, because I think all of us right now are sitting, and we probably have sat probably more of our day today than any of us wanted to. So with prolonged sitting that unfortunately most humans are doing between commuting and their jobs, sitting in front of screens all the time, you can develop not only tightness in the hip flexor, but weakness. So I'm not sure where they're talking about the controversy, but what I've seen is that, everyone wants to stretch the psoas, which is important because it gets tight, especially with prolonged sitting, like we just mentioned, but also repeated activity. So think about a marathon runner who's on their, 80, 90 mile weeks. They're really high mileage runners, and they're an accountant during the day. They have a 2-hour commute in and out of the city, and then they're putting on 80 miles. Like that psoas muscle is going to take a beating between the prolonged sitting and then the activity. So not only do we need to stretch the psoas, but a lot of people forget to strengthen it. So strengthening exercises are just as important, depending on the person, sometimes more, sometimes less than just stretching it. And I think that could be where some of the controversy lies. But I tell you, for any client that I've worked with, whether they were an endurance athlete or not, that has had chronic low back pain, 80% of the time the psoas muscle is involved to one extent or another, whether it's overactive and yanking on the spine, or it's too tight and yanking on the spine, or it's too weak and not providing any pelvic and hip stability. So I hope that answers the question about the psoas muscle.
So for a guy like Mike, works in marketing, doesn't own a car, and doesn't run 80 to 90 mile weeks, even though I'm running 100 milers, I typically don't go above like 50 miles in a week.
Right.
I should be okay.
Well, if you're getting a lot of places by walking.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you have a walkable city. That's perfect. I actually just put a post on my social media today about going for a walk. Fortunately, we have technology like cars, right? And it's become the go-to. Whenever you have to go anywhere, you jump in the car. Like the market is not even a half a mile from my house.
Yeah.
So I literally walked there, pick up some groceries, had like 10 pounds of groceries, and I walked back. It was a beautiful day. And then one of my neighbors came by and he's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "No, I'm just going to the market." He's like, "Do you need a ride?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "You're walking?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because I can." Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, because he posted he ran for the year, whatever the number was, 2,000 miles. I don't even remember. But I went and looked back at my steps for the year. And when I divided my steps by 2,000, which is about what it takes for me to run a mile, I was close to like 1,800, 1,900. And it made me think to myself, which is better, right? And I think it's splitting hairs, right? Now you have to have running volume specificity, of course, to run. But in terms of overall fitness, right? He's super fast, right? He's one of those guys that runs 17-minute 5Ks, right? 16-minute 5Ks. Like, I'm never get there, even in a car. But can he run 100 miles, right? And the answer is no, that's not his thing. And so I started like, all the walking that I do, plus the 35 to 45 miles a week, like, does that help me get into that shape, that fitness shape, to complete 50 to 100-mile races. You know,
I think it's definitely doing something to help you because of, if you ever heard the term time on foot.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of time on foot. So every step you take, you're strengthening bones, you're strengthening your plantar fascia, you're strengthening ligaments and tendons and cartilage. That's only going to make you more resilient when you get into the training. Now, walking is not going to get you to your PR next ultra that you're going to do, but it might make you resilient enough that the training you do need to put in to get to that level of athleticism might not be an injury waiting to happen for you.
and here's what's interesting. So I'm in a really hilly city, and so when we're talking about running up and down the trails on mountains, right, hiking and stuff like that, like I have felt, and my hiking ability has vastly improved because of the walking around the city. And to your point, the story you just mentioned about the 10 pounds of groceries, right? So when I market, I'm picking that up, and I got to walk uphill. Not to sound like my parents, I walked uphill both ways. But I got to walk back uphill from the grocery store with a sack full of groceries, 5-10 pounds,
right.
Of extra weight, and climbing back up. And it really is kind of a thing that, without super run specificity for that type of racing at this point, I've seen my improvement on that trail because I go to the same one every weekend to compare myself. Right? What am I doing?
Right.
And I've seen it improve, and so it's pretty interesting to see how that all ties in together and hopefully prevents injury. It's not 100% foolproof, though, right?
No, but it's not going to hurt. It's only going to build your resiliency. Have you guys ever heard of the blue zones?
Yeah. There's a Netflix documentary. Have you seen it?
Watch it. Yeah. So I've done a lot of reading on it. My wife, who's also in the field, has studied it pretty intensely. But one thing they all have in common is they walk, and a lot of them have really hilly, like the Sardinia, Italy. It's like a vertical city. So these 70, 80 gardening, carrying their own groceries, and there's something to it for longevity. Again, it builds resilience. I think it does other mental and emotional benefits too, just by getting out there in nature and walking and not being stuck in a car in traffic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the resiliency on all aspects of health that it's providing is probably the benefits that you're seeing, and I think it will never do anyone harm to get walking a little more.
So we're moving to Loma Linda soon enough?
Right. Those people are amazing, though, aren't they?
It's amazing. So I think it's Loma Linda, California. There is Sardinia, Italy. There's a place in Greece, if I'm not mistaken, and Okinawa, Japan, I think, is the other blue zone.
Yep.
As well.
And then the last one is Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. That's right. That's the other one.
Yeah. And they all have certain things in common, and they all have different reasons why. But you put everything that they do, and you take walking hills, very social, and they have a sense of community, and they take time to have a coffee with their friend, and they eat from their, locally from their own gardens. Like, they take a little bit of everything they do. I think we can all create our own little blue zones and hopefully live a little bit longer and healthier.
Oh, it's funny. I don't want to get off the topic, which is running, but it is health in general that we're talking about. Right. And I just posted on my LinkedIn account, like, the other day, like, I talk to everybody. I don't care. Like, I don't care who they are. I don't care what they do for a living. Like, I just want to talk to people because I find their stories so interesting. And it's real life. It's not behind this digitized screen, right? It's not, you're not scrolling. Right. You're just talking to people, and you get to know about them. Like, the local barista at the coffee shop, dude is awesome. Like, at this point, I walk in there, I don't have to order. He's like, hey, I got you set up already,
Right.
There's something in the human connection that allows us to live that healthier life. And I'm sure you probably tap into that a little bit throughout your conversations, because you are looking at more of a holistic lifestyle in your practice than you are just, hey, make sure you eat right and sleep enough. Is that a good question?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people don't understand the impact of our social network and our community that it has on us. I think, I'm fortunate to be in a first world nation in a pretty cool town, and I have that built in, and I think I took it for granted for many years, but now that I know how important it is, we're trying to foster that. And the same thing, like, I love going to a coffee shop and knowing the barista's name, or going to the market and knowing the cashier's name, and knowing what they went to school for, and just having that conversation.
Yeah, just following up with them, right? The next time you go in there, So, for example, he told us he was taking his team to a baseball game because they've been stressed out and overworked and everything else. And so the next time we go there, it's going to be like, hey, how was the game? Right? How did your team do at the game? Did you guys have fun and stuff like that? And it just perpetuates this feeling, to your word, Michael, of community, right? A sense of belonging in there, which does lead me to my next question, because I'm a handful of months away from that master's category, if I'm not already there, depending on the event that I'm participating in. Are you helping and working with more people that are aging in that master's category, or are you working with people that are at the high school level? Like, where do you see the separation in your business?
Oh, wow. Yes to all of that. There's everything in between. When I was in the clinic treating, so I don't treat the injuries anymore, but when I was in the clinic treating, I would literally have, like the top 8th grader in the state, who was 12, 13 years old, cross country runner, to an 85-year-old waiting to compete in the next senior Olympics when it comes out, and everything in between. So fortunately, we're all living longer. I forgot what the numbers are. What was it, like by 2050 we're going to have 2.1 billion people over the age of 60 in this country.
In this country?
Wait, no, I think in the world. See, don't quote me. So let me say something. I'm not great with stats and remembering numbers, so anyone listening, don't harp on me if I miss it. But pretty much it's going to more than double whatever it is now by 2050. Because people are living longer, and people are staying pretty damn healthy. I mean, if you guys show up at races, there's 50-year-olds and sometimes even older, not just hitting the podium for their age group. But have you guys ever heard of the local race around here, the Anchor Down 100? No. Anchor Down Ultra, it's called. It's a 24-hour race here in Rhode Island. And it's basically, you got 24 hours. You do, I think it's a 2.5-mile loop in a beautiful town here, Bristol, Rhode Island.
Right up alley at Ohm.
What's that?
That's right up Ohm's alley, running around 2.5.
Running around the loop,
24 hours.
So the guy who just won this year is 53 years old, and he's won 6 out of the last 7 years. And there were guys in their 20s there, and this guy was a machine. He did, I think at his best, he did like 129 miles in 24 hours. This year at 53, he did 120 miles, and that wasn't his lowest. I mean, he has come down. I think his best might have been his first or second year, which was 7 years ago. But that dude is maintaining some serious fitness. I think he's a unicorn because not many people his age can do that. But, people are doing pretty amazing things later on in life, which is awesome. But the problem is sometimes biology or, genetics might not be all in, what's the word I'm looking for? All coordinated and working together. So there might be some reasons why they're going to have more difficulty. So I'm hoping to help them be able to stay healthy, respond well to their training, resist injury, and not just injury, but illness. Think about the signs of overtraining, people getting sick. It's not just physical injury.
Yeah, I don't like the idea that this gentleman's running 120 to 130 miles at the age of 53 would beg the question, when did he start, right? Like, when did he start with his physical fitness and being able to build to that level? And it would leads me to the question of, is it too late to get started, right? So if you're 53 years old today and you haven't done anything, what advice would you give to that person today?
It's not too late. And depending on what their fitness and athletic history is, there might be a different approach to it. So for example, let's say we've got a 53-year-old overweight accountant who, has been running his own business and has been sitting in front of a computer for 35 years and has never exercised. All right. We really got to take out the kid gloves and have a really slow and methodical approach to slowly increase his resiliency of his tissues, because his tissues are not going to be resilient. He's not going to have the strength, the pliability, the flexibility, the stability, the mobility that he might need to do a 5K, never mind an ultra, versus someone who might have been a collegiate athlete and, they did, over 20 leagues, over 30 leagues, but just took some time off, and now they've got some sort of athletic background and now just want to kind of focus on running or triathlons. They might have a little easier time building into a good training program. So I can't give a one-stop shop approach to that, but it all goes back to the history, which is, why sometimes going on to Google, couch to 5K, right? And that's pretty harmless because Couch to 5K is not that complicated versus, you know, okay, Couch to 5K to an overweight diabetic who's never exercised before and is 58 years old. All right, now it's a little more complicated. So getting sound advice from a professional is always better than searching through the 305 million hits on Google to figure out which one of those is going to be good advice for you.
Yeah, I mean, we see it all the time. The you know, Steve 1298743, you know, on Twitter, on Instagram, espousing all of this advice. So how would a person who doesn't know, right, a person who does go to Google and gets 305 million results, determine whether or not, you know, that account is somebody worth their time versus, hey, my Run Strong and Michael Silva, this guy's been doing this for 20 years. He's got the credentials. Like, how do you figure that out?
I mean, hopefully there's a bio on there somewhere so you can see the history of the person who's disseminating the information, because there is a lot of good information out there, and there are a lot of really smart people, much smarter than I am and much more experienced than I am, that are out there. But I think, you know, I hate saying this, but sometimes in social media, if you look good in a tank top and you can do a cool dance while you're giving information, you'll get more hits. You'll get the people following you, and you'll sell more classes, you'll sell more programs, that type of thing. Where you got some ugly old guy like me who's just telling you how to do it, they might not want to listen. It's so hard, you know. I think you just got to look at the history, try to look at, even testimonials aren't always great because a lot of those are artificially constructed, right? But I would try to have a personal conversation with someone. If someone's looking to work with like a health coach on the other side of the country or the other side of the world, at least sit down, have some good questions lined up about what their history is. Have they worked with someone like you, with what your background is and what your goals are, and just make sure. And you know that the term, like, you get a gut feeling, like our guts are second brain. If something just doesn't seem right when you like interviewing a coach, then you might want to keep looking. If it feels good, you know, it looks like chicken, it tastes like chicken, it's chicken. Go for it. Just put pineapple on it.
One of the things that actually brings up for me is something that Jason and I talk about a lot, which is like delayed gratification versus instant gratification, which is just, you know, you open up social media, you get a dopamine hit, like all these influencers and these people, whatever their credentials, are talking about like life hacks.
Right.
So as somebody who's been, yeah, exactly, Jason, somebody who's been doing this as long as you have, and knowing the process it takes for that, knowing that there's been more growth in that like instant gratification kind of like mindset, how do you navigate that? How do you navigate that and let people know that this is all kind of a process? Like, how does Michael Silva approach that?
By doing things like this, you know, getting in front of groups of motivated people and like-minded individuals that we can collaborate and get the information out there, because it's hard, you know. And I'm not a huge fan of social media. I've got a 20 and a 16-year-old at home, and I've spent many years trying to, you know, pull them off of it because, you know, there's a lot of bad and addictive parts to it. And I've actually been trying to do more lately as I'm switching my career from being a hands-on, you know, clinic-based physical therapist to now trying to reach. A lot of what I'm doing is virtually. So I'm working with runners and coaches in California, and I'm here in Rhode Island. So I'm trying to do more of it. But again, I don't know if I'm getting the views. I don't have the patience or the biceps that might be needed in order to get the views and the likes and that type of thing. But I'm trying to do it old school. So these conferences I'm going to, collaborations like this, like I was at a local university 2 weekends ago, talking to their whole track and field cross country team. I'll be at another university in Massachusetts tomorrow doing the same type of talk, getting out to conferences, you know, just trying to let people know who I am and just have a conversation. I think this is great because it's a conversation and hopefully people are getting something out of it versus me just spitting out a 7-second, hey, life hack, do this.
I cannot tell you how much that bugs me when I see the whole thing with like life hacks, like do this one thing and you'll be like incredible and shave like seconds off your 100-mile PR or something like that.
So it's funny you mentioned that because there's a screenshot I took and I blocked out the person's face, but it's a thumbnail for a YouTube video. It's a 7-minute video and says of never get hurt again, or for running injuries. I forget the exact title. It's pretty much it's like, you a runner, watch this 7-minute video and you will never, ever get hurt again. And I'll bring it up. Yeah, that's all you need. I'm like, shit, I've wasted freaking 25 years of my career. All I have to do is watch a 7-minute freaking video and I could help all these people. So I'm just giving them all the video. No, it's not what I do, but that's the problem. But it's quick and that's what people want. 3 tips to never get shin splints ever again.
Right.
I'm sorry if I'm not supposed to swear, but that's bullshit. Like, there's no way you can do that. Because you might have shin splints because you have flat feet. You might have shin splints because you have a super high arch. I might have shin splints because my ass is weak. Like, there's a million different reasons why you can get shin splints, and you're going to tell these people that all you have to do is these 3 exercises and you'll be shin splint free. Drives me crazy if you can't tell, but my energy just went up a little bit. And I don't know how to solve this problem.
So, I'm with you, not necessarily on the physical fitness part of it all. I've been doing this stuff for going on 17 years too. And so I could have all the conversations in the world with anybody who's about I did it. Right? That's it. But the one thing similar to that is I've been doing marketing for 30 years. And all I see are these marketing bros, right? And it's like, you could have a 7-figure income, but just by watching this 18-second video. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Right. Like, I've been doing it for 30 years. I could have saved myself all that time and been retired by now.
You're wasting your time.
It just doesn't work that way.
I know.
My free advice to you for marketing your business, keep doing it the way you're doing it.
Thank you.
I'm really going to be moderating a panel on October 10th about email marketing. And one of the conversations I was talking to the people today that are going to be on the panel is, like, social media is really, really good, but it's not the end all be all for marketing, right? It is a nice to have because you're leasing the audience. If Mark Zuckerberg decided today that he was going to change the algorithm, but just by putting a period in or a semicolon in or something, everything changes and the audience ad no longer exists. But if you have a good website with good SEO and you have your own email marketing list, that is an owned audience.
Right.
Not only owned, but they have expressed interest in your product. Right. So they're most likely to buy it.
That's gold.
Right?
That's gold.
So just keep sending the message right to those people. Right. Start with those 2 components. Do your speeches, do your presentations, absolutely, because guess what happens there? Those people sign up for you immediately, right? They're like, oh, Michael Silva, I need to get on his email list because you're probably talking about it. And that email list grows, and you keep sending out that information, and you keep hammering away at your message. That is golden. Right. That is absolutely 100% golden. So just keep doing that part. And the people that are doing the hacks and the tricks for not just faster mile or how to build a 7-figure business, the work is 2, 3, 4 times more, right? Because the moment that hack fails, do these 3 things to avoid shin splints, and in 3 weeks the shin splints don't go away. Now I had to go do something else. Not only that,
it just wasted 3 weeks.
Not only that, but my hip now hurts too. Because it's 2 issues, right?
I know.
Like, you must.
And this is, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you must see that all the time. Like, a person is like, well, I started out with a shin splint issue, and now my hip hurts, and my back is giving me fits.
Right. It happens all the time because they try to, ignore it. Like every good athlete, they'll ignore it or they run through it, and no pain, no gain type of scenario. I've got this diagram. Maybe I'll share it with you guys, but it's this whole wheel. It's the running injury cycle, and it's like, okay, you train. You're training a little harder. You do your first race, it goes well, so you train even harder. You're really pumped up. You do your second race, goes even better. Freaking training, double sessions, like really getting into it. And then your race doesn't go well, and then you get a little bit of pain, and then you ignore it like every good runner should, right? Then you start speed limping, so you can't even, like, now it's obvious you're hurt, so you go to Google and you waste your time there. Then you go see the doctor, which is a waste of time. Like, everyone thinks they need to go to their primary care physician first. So what's he going to do? He doesn't know how to treat a running injury. So then he sends you to an orthopedic. You don't need surgery for a running injury. So now you just wasted 2 weeks to get into your doctor, another 2 weeks to get into your sports medicine. Now they're going to say, go see a physical therapist. Then you wait 2 weeks to get in there. By that point, you missed your event. The season's over. And then they're going to tell you, just stop running, take Advil, ice it, which is not going to really solve the problem. It's just going to, ease the pain. And then they repeat the whole freaking cycle over again. And it goes, so my whole career, I've tried to, like, break that cycle and jump in there as soon as possible. And you guys may know this, but hopefully some of your listeners, most of your listeners should know this, but in the healthcare system, which is a very frustrating system, you can go directly to a physical therapist. I think it must be in all 50 states now, but most insurances will pay for you to go right to a physical therapist, because running injuries, there's maybe 0.01% of running injuries need surgery. What they need is like corrective strategies, find out where the problem's coming from, get the corrective strategy in there, ease the stress on that tissue to allow it to heal, correct the imbalances. They don't need a surgeon. They don't need a primary care physician. So just go right to either a clinician, a chiropractor, or a sports medicine PT. Again, I get excited about this type of thing too, because we waste so much money and time in our healthcare system, which is kind of why I pulled out, and I'm trying to help people outside of it and help them navigate it a little bit better.
Physio 360 PT actually just confirmed it is all 50 states.
And that's a good PT right there. I know him. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it. So, Michael, before we jump into what we call our rapid fire questions, if I had to ask you, not that if I have to ask you, but I'm going to ask you. Most people will take advice. I want you to give 2 pieces of advice to people who are thinking about getting started in running and endurance sports in general, because they might be cycling and they might be swimming. What 2 advice should they move forward from a PT?
Only 2?
Yeah, only 2. You got to limit it.
Man. All right. 1, do not neglect your rest and recovery. Get a good night's sleep. Take days off. I don't care what coach you work with. No one, especially a recreational adult, should be training 7 days a week. I just don't feel that's ever needed. So rest and recovery, do not neglect it. It's the most powerful tool we have. It's free. You can control it. It's very easy. There's 1. Number 2, man, you're holding me to just 2 of them. I've got like 47. Find a good coach. Find a good coach who works with someone that fits your persona. If you're that 58-year-old accountant that wants to raise money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and do a marathon for such a great cause, work with a coach. Work with someone who knows how to build and slowly add the training load into your body so you don't get hurt and you can actually build the resiliency. Don't try to do it on your own unless you are a coach, but get help. There's help out there. Interview a coach, work with someone that you can actually talk and have a conversation with that knows you, you know them. It'll be worth every penny you spend on them. And I'm not trying to sell it because I don't coach. So find a good one. I can give you guys referrals if you need it, but I'm sure you guys can. But I guess that would be my first 2 thoughts that come to mind.
So on the first tip, Om and I have joked often, and maybe we now finally have to do it, but talking about getting T-shirts that say, "You stay hard, I'm going to take a nap," because rest free is super important, right? And then the other one is, I totally agree with you on getting a coach. I would highly recommend you interview them. If the coach is willing to talk to you for 30 minutes about their philosophy, about how they approach, how they communicate, how they work with people like you, athletes that they've worked with in the past, they're not for you. It's just not going to be a good fit come hell or high water. You're going to be frustrated, and you might end up having to go see somebody like Michael or Physio 360 PT Josh because you self-hurt because it wasn't working with you. So those are 2 great pieces of advice, and honestly, people, make sure you're heeding that advice and that warning. Rest and recovery, super important. Can
I jump on that coach thing really quick?
Yeah.
So there's a coach that used to be here in Rhode Island. He's out in Arizona now. He's awesome. I love him. And he's actually, I know, because I've worked with a lot of his athletes, like he'll talk to them about their stress and their sleep and their rest and actually modify their programs according to how they're feeling versus just, nope, we're supposed to do 5 miles at this pace today, you got to do it. But I didn't sleep last night, my dog died, and I have diarrhea. You really still want me to do it? Yeah, no. So you need to find someone that can, that's why you need to work with someone that knows you and you know them so they can adjust and modify. Because life doesn't come at us in organized sets and reps and days. And, you know, life's hard. There's stress.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to accommodate for that.
Life isn't compartmentalized. Maria Simone, who was my coach, and I coach under her umbrella at No Limits Endurance Coaching right now, taught me 10 years ago, 11 years ago, stress is stress. So whether it's your dog dying, right, which is a stressful component, or your physical activity of running 5 miles, that's stressful, regardless of where you're coming from. So you have to pay attention to it and be smart about it. You know, the other day, I was like, I'm going to go run 10 miles. I'm training for this around the years or whatever it's called, will correct me, event. That's a 1 mile loop every 15 minutes. And it's a totally different mindset for me. And the day before I ran 2+ hours out on the trail, and I was going to go to the path and run 2+ hours. I woke up and I was exhausted. I was tired. I was like, this is going out there is going to be pointless. It's going to stress my body out. It's going to give me an opportunity to get injured. And so I didn't do it. Sure enough, later that afternoon, this was on Sunday, I wound up taking a 2-hour nap. And I'm a 30-minute nap guy. I'm a 20 to 30-minute nap guy. I was asleep for 2 hours because clearly my body wasn't ready for it. So there was no pushing it. Right?
Smart decision, man.
So
smart.
I got better from resting than I would have from running. Would have just pushed that way further out.
Right.
What were you just saying to me before Michael jumped on the call about the Oregon 200 recovery process for you?
Oh, man, I'm just like off my feet. I'm just eating, resting, recovering, just doing walking. I mean, even like leading up to the race, I had done other races, and I was constantly communicating with my coach, like, oh, you know, today, you know, I did like 1 hour of the 3 hours it's supposed to do, or like I cut my run short. But I think most importantly, I'm not afraid of, I don't see recovery or rest or cutting workout short as the boogeyman. I see it as like a necessity. I think that people talk about training hard. I think training hard also means recovering hard. Right. I think that's a big component of it. People see recovery. There's a stigma of like being lazy, being on the couch and everything. But I'm like, no, you have to recover. I dare people to recover as strong as they train, because if you train strong, you have to recover strong.
Right. I joke around with some of the high school runners I've worked with over the years, and some of the programs are like 7-day-a-week programs, which I don't get, especially for growing teenagers, growing pubescent bodies. Like that's not what they need. And I would tell them, use me as an excuse. You say my therapist said I can't run, even though they were discharged. I'm like, you can always lie to your coach about me. Not that I want you to lie, but this is a nice white lie for your health, you know. And I tell the parents, I'm like, he's allowed to play video games all day on Sunday. Like, just let him sit on the couch, let him watch a movie, let him Netflix, let him eat whatever. Just rest and like don't be up on your feet, because it's so important. And training hard isn't training smart, you know. Training hard and resting hard is training smart. I like that. I've never used the term resting hard, but I like that.
Yeah.
Rest hard.
I would always say train hard, race harder, rest hardest.
Right.
Oh.
That's it. All right, Michael, thank you so much for your time and your expertise. We're going to jump into our rapid fire questions. I will all revolve around food. And so there's going to be some really good debate going on here. And since
did you guys know that food's my second favorite topic in the world?
Good, because it is mine too. I love it.
All right.
Every Friday, I do a Food Fight Friday video, and it's just like, here's my hot food take, and let me hear yours. So it's been awesome. But anyway, so here we go. Oreos, OG or double stuff?
Neither.
What?
Sorry. Okay. OG.
Thank you. I gotta say this. I prefer the answer of neither versus the people keep talking about these Oreo thins, which is nothing more than a cracker, or these Oreo cakesters, which is nothing more than a ding dong. Like, stop it with this stuff. It's just an Oreo.
If you gotta go Oreo, go OG.
There you go. Licorice. Are you a licorice fan? No licorice at all.
No. Red Twizzlers, yes.
Red Twizzlers, yes. But black licorice, the I think it's amaranth, right?
Yeah.
Out.
Yeah.
Oh, anise, not
anise.
amaranth. Candy corn. Is candy corn a real candy, or is it just earwax coated in sugar?
Earwax coated in sugar.
Good answer. Peeps. Is pizza real candy, or is it just a marshmallow covered in dust?
Marshmallow covered in dust.
So here's the thing. We've been told more than once this is our 72nd, 73rd episode. We've been told more than once that you should eat a peep stale. Like, first off, they're gross to begin with. Now you want me to eat it more gross?
Why? What?
Nah.
Does it change when it gets stale? Is it like wine? Does it get better?
No. It becomes a doorstop.
Nah, all set with that.
Peanut butter, nut butter if you're allergic. Creamy or crunchy?
Crunchy.
Yes. Chocolate chip cookies or an oatmeal raisin cookie?
Oatmeal raisin.
Yes.
Yeah, love oatmeal raisin cookies.
Grilled cheese or peanut butter and jelly?
Grilled cheese.
Is
Sorry.
it only because Island and we're getting fallish temperatures?
Say it again.
Is it only because you're in Rhode Island and you're getting like fallish temperatures and you're thinking of tomato soup?
It's comfort food. Tomato soup, grilled cheese. Yeah. See, I'm a savory guy more than a sweet guy. So all this candy corn pizza makes me sick. Let's talk tacos, grilled cheese, pizza. Let's talk about that. All right, okay, go.
So is red velvet cake an actual flavor, or is it nothing more than chocolate cake in red food dye?
I think it's chocolate cake and red food dye.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Ice cream. What's your favorite flavor of ice cream, and why is it chocolate chip mint?
And why is it chocolate chip mint? It's not chocolate chip mint. It's black raspberry chip. But
what? What is that? I've never heard of this.
Oh, black raspberry ice cream with chocolate chips in it?
No, is that something you find locally?
I guess so. That was my dad's favorite ice cream. He turned me on to it when he was alive, and I've watched him eat it my whole life, and that's my favorite. And now my kids, that's their favorite as well.
Interesting.
Sounds good.
Well, maybe you got to come to Rhode Island to try it, I guess. I don't know.
Actually sounds refreshing with the raspberry component in there.
Oh, it's really good. It's not a sherbet. It's ice cream. It's creamy. That's like the one sugary thing I'll go for.
I'm going to have to check this out.
Yeah.
Candy bar.
Favorite candy bar? Snickers.
Snickers.
Yeah.
From a brownie's perspective, are you going nuts on the brownie or no nuts on the brownie?
No nuts.
All right. So now into the savory component. You have a burrito wrapper in front of you. What are you filling it up with?
Okay. Chicken, rice, black beans, guacamole, cheese, onions, cilantro, jalapenos.
Raw onions or cooked onions?
Both.
How spicy is the guacamole?
Spicy.
On fire?
Ooh.
Caliente.
Yeah. And then extra hot sauce on every bite?
Every bite. Yeah, absolutely.
Love it.
Pancakes, waffles, or French toast for breakfast?
French toast.
Why?
Because it's a little more savory. There's a little more protein to it.
All right. So you said chicken, so you're a meat eater then?
Yeah.
Barbecue. Texas style, North Carolina style, St. Louis style, or maybe there's another style I don't know of.
I didn't know there was all different styles.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not.
I'm Northeast, so like we don't have a ton of like great barbecue up here.
Yeah.
When I was in Austin, Texas, I had some serious barbecue there. So I guess that's the cut. Was that an option,
yeah.
Texas style?
Yeah, it tends to be more wet because they mop it. That's what they call it. They mop it with the sauce.
They slap it silly with the sauce brush there.
Style tends to be more dry rub, and then North Carolina style is more of a vinegar-based barbecue sauce. So it's a little tangy.
I think we should have a conference, and all of us should be there, and we should have a food tasting barbecue. We'll get 3 really well-known restaurants to supply it, and then we can have a food tasting competition.
I'm in. I won't eat it, but I'll be happy to judge it.
All right.
What's your go-to meal after a hard workout?
Go-to meal after a hard workout. To be honest, I'm not famished after a hard workout, so it'll probably be just a smoothie or a shake.
So this is a really good question. It's not part of our deal, but I'm going to ask it anyway, and this will be the last one. So the topic came up of not being hungry after a hard workout, and some of the answers have been, and I will admit that I'm this way too. Like Years ago, I was probably taking 200 to 300 calories an hour while I was working out. And then after I finished working out, long run, long ride, I would be famished. I was like, I need to eat food.
Right.
Now I'm pushing close to 600 calories an hour between the liquids that I'm taking and whatever solid foods I'm eating at the same time. And when the run is over or the swim, bike, or whatever is over, I don't feel that hungry. So do you think it's because of the number of calories that you're taking during the workout that by the time you're done, you're like, I still kind of feel full, but I know I need to recover, so smoothies will do me well?
I think for your example, most likely because you're taking enough caloric intake that you're not famished. With me, I'm not working out as hard as you do anymore. So I don't take in calories during my workouts these days. For me, I just think it's probably a central nervous system thing in my stomach. You know, I just don't feel like filling it, especially if I feel really good and I had a good workout and I don't have a ton of joint pain and like I'm feeling all right. Yeah, I just don't want to take in much. So, you know, a good smoothie will satisfy me for a while.
Let that be a lesson for everybody. Your body is your body. Your body is not Michael or Ohms or my body. You got to pay attention to what's going on for yourself. Michael, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we let you go, where can people find you? How can they get in touch with you if they want to work with you?
Sure. So myrunstrong.com is my site where it talks about all the online and virtual courses and programs that I have. I also, I don't know if you want to post it, but for all the viewers, I'm giving 2 discounts. I don't know if we can post that somewhere. You can let me know, Jason. All right. So for the 2 of my most popular programs, the Run Strong 101, which is a 5-phase strengthening program. It's normally a $79 program, giving $50 off for anyone who's viewing. So $29 for that, which is my number 1 selling course. And then the running video analysis that I do, it's a virtual running video analysis. It's been very, very valuable. I did it in person for 15 years, so now we're doing it virtually. That's normally a $299, and we're taking $50 off of that as well. So also social media, My Run Strong, Facebook and Instagram, and Michael Silva on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Michael, thank you so much. We will put the coupon codes and everything in the notes section of the post when we put it on Instagram Live right now.
Awesome. You guys are great, and thank you for having me, and hopefully people had a good time listening to us talk about the weirdest conversation I've had all day.
Awesome. That's what we strive for.
Right.
We'll see you soon. Thanks, Michael.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.